What's up, Rebels? Sean Ogle of Location Rebel, on location, in my bedroom. Yes, Christmas tree, bedroom, wife, you know how that goes. But I'm excited because today we've got another awesome case study, this one from Mitch Glass. So Mitch was backpacking through South America. He ended up with some friends at a salsa dancing class in Cali, Colombia, ended up meeting the love of his life, and now got married and has been living down there for the last couple of years. So he joined Location Rebel and started a freelancing business and a blog. And today he's going to talk about how he was able to build up clients, how it's allowed him to live a affordable lifestyle down in Colombia, and what he's up to now moving forward. So we had a couple hiccups with the sound in the video, but it's nothing that's too big of a deal. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But I'm going to let him tell you the rest of the story, and I really hope you enjoy it. What's up, everybody? Sean Ogle with another Location Rebel case study. This is one of my favorite times of the year because I actually get to sit down, talk to some of our students, talk about where they're at, what they're doing with their business, how they got to where they are, and shed a little insight into what it's really like to build a location-independent business. So today, I've got Location Rebel member Mitch Glass, who's actually living down in Colombia. He's been a member of our course for a little bit over a year and is kind of living the life down there. So I'm a little jealous of him. We were just talking about how nice and sunny it is, and I'm here in miserable, rainy, cold Portland, Oregon. So I think he's made some good life choices. But before we go any further, Mitch, I just want to say thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. It's an honor to be part of this interview series.
Totally. So let's give some people a little bit of background. I know you were backpacking through, South America, Central America, and you eventually stumbled upon Colombia. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up in Colombia and what that was like.
All right. Well, it's kind of a long story. I actually I left home. I was about to start a doctoral program in physical therapy, and in the summer vacation before I was going to start, I decided to go on this backpacking trip. And I went through Central and South America, and when I was going through Colombia, I just remember loving it. And then at the very end of my trip, I decided that I wasn't ready to go back home to my normal life again. And so I wanted to spend a few months in Cali, Colombia, taking some salsa dancing classes.
Yeah.
Because I had met some friends in Cali when I was passing through. And so just planned to spend a few months here, and turns out in one of my salsa classes, I met a cute girl, and that cute girl turned into my cute wife, and I'm living here in Cali for the past 2 years.
So when you were in Cali and you were taking these salsa dancing classes, did you ever think it was going to be a place that you were going to end up for the long term?
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
Yeah. Okay, so you're backpacking, you fall in love, you're living in Cali. All of a sudden, your life is kind of completely different than you thought it was going to be. So what were you doing when you first got to Cali as far as money? Were you just living off savings? Like, had you gotten a job there? Like, what were you doing, 2 years ago?
So I had some savings, and I had sold my car and saved up some money, and I had enough to live for maybe 6 months or a year if I wanted to, but I wasn't even planning on staying that long.
Yeah.
But once I met my wife or my girlfriend, I realized that I needed to start earning some money.
Totally.
Because I couldn't live off savings forever. And so what happened is I think I signed up for a different course. I saw a Facebook ad one day and just signed up. And that was the first course I'd ever bought, my first intro to online business.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of like a maze from there, just new doors opening up and finding different things, and that sent me on that first course sent me on a path down starting an Amazon FBA business.
Yep.
Which went well for a while, and then had a problem, and then I think that's when I maybe ran into one of your blog posts or something and signed up for Location Rebel.
Well, and it's amazing because there's so many different types of businesses you can build online. I mean, we were just talking about this. You've also got a blog, and now you're freelancing, which we're going to get into in a second. But you're kind of like, do I focus on the blog, which isn't necessarily going to pay off, right away, or do I focus on the freelancing where I can make money and pay my bills and all that kind of stuff? And then you throw in coaching or Amazon or affiliate marketing or podcasting or YouTube. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it that you kind of said it's a maze. You're kind of like navigating, trying to figure out what to do next. And that's totally what I feel like the online world is now, like in 2018, 2019. And it's only getting more confusing. When I started this back in 2009, it was like you start a blog, you publish it, and people find it easily. And now it's a little bit more complicated. So when you first jumped into Location Rebel, you had the FBA stuff that was, maybe taken kind of a side turn and wasn't doing as well as, you had wanted it to. So what was it like when you first jumped into Location Rebel? You started doing freelance writing. What was that experience like?
When you're just trying to get into this online business entrepreneur type world and you have no background, it's kind of like you're in this big dark room and you just have a flashlight and you're just looking at one part of, you don't know what's out there. You're just looking at one small thing, and then you'll learn something else, and then you'll turn the flashlight and you see something else and see something else.
Yeah.
And so when I stumbled on Location Rebel, I remember going through your 6-day course, and it was like you're talking straight to me.
Yeah.
And what Location Rebel did for me, it felt like someone just like turned on the lights to the whole room. Like you can see everything at the same time. You can see, I mean, there's still other doors and secret pathways that you're going to find, but you kind of get a big picture of what's going on. And it honestly, there's so much information out there and so many different rabbit holes that just being able to see all that at the same time was really helpful and saved me a bunch of time.
Totally. And it's kind of one of the ways I describe it is like, there's so much information out there. I mean, frankly, these days you can learn just about anything for free. So it's like, what's the point of like investing in a course like Location Rebel? Well, the way I look at it is we're kind of giving you an overview of everything that all like it, walks you through it in like an easy to follow fashion. It ties all the information in a nice little bow, but then you're also getting the community on top of that, which is going to help support you throughout that whole process. So tell me do you remember when you got your first paying client? Like, do you remember the moment, or do you remember what that experience was like when you finally were like, okay, the lights are on, I'm starting to like, my freelance business, and like, oh, whoa, someone actually wants to pay me money for this.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember which one was my first, but I remember my first couple.
Yeah.
And it honestly wasn't super hard to get those, but they weren't. And I was so excited when I landed. I was like, oh, I'm just kind of creating money out of nothing here. I just emailed some people, and now I got some jobs. They weren't good jobs.
Yeah.
Like I remember it took maybe a week of just sending out emails to different agencies and things. Landing those first few jobs was kind of like a light bulb moment. Like I can do anything. Like I can find there's tons and tons and tons of opportunities out there. I just need to go out and find them.
I tell people, especially like early on, like, some of the freelance writing and some of the lower level stuff that's not necessarily paying you a ton of money, it's getting you familiar with the process, like finding the client, delivering the work, getting paid. And I used to tell people, it's like, I'm not necessarily passionate about, writing about industrial key boxes, or I'm not necessarily passionate about doing like freelance SEO, but I'm passionate about the life that it allows me to have. It's given me the free time to go work on, the Location Rebel blog or Breaking 80, or to go travel and do these things. And I think that's an important part, is especially if you're taking those as learning experiences for what they are, and then starting to transition into,
Right.
more of the higher paying writing. There's kind of like 3 levels that we walk you through in Location Rebel, which is like SEO writing and basic low level writing, content writing for other blogs, websites, businesses, and then copywriting, which is kind of the most well-paid writing, when you're writing sales pages and sales copy for people. And all that, kind of telling people that are watching this. But in a recent email, you were talking about how you've got a couple steady clients, you're making, $1,000 a month, give or take, through those clients. What's it been like starting to, say, okay, it's like, I've got a nice little base, I want to grow. You started the blog, you started the website. Like, where have you gone once you got a little bit of money, like on a regular basis? Like, how are you trying to expand beyond that?
I'm trying to balance my time between these clients that pay all my bills, and I only have to work 10 or 15 hours a week to pay my bills.
Yep.
And then working on the blog, but then after I do both of those two things, I don't have time to market myself, build my skills, and try to find better clients. So I'm trying to balance those 3 different projects. And I'm excited for the next year because I have kind of a schedule, and hopefully I can stick to that schedule and force myself to spend time marketing and finding better clients and climbing up the ladder a little bit.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit about the Location Rebel community. I know you've talked a fair amount with Liz. You've been a part of our community for over a year. How has that been helpful as you've been trying to figure out how to find those, higher paying clients and trying to transition the business a little bit? Talk a little bit about your experience with the community.
Yeah, the community is great. If you ever have a question or have a doubt, because if you're trying to start this business by yourself with no help, there's so many questions that pop up that you never even would think of, but if you have that community, you can just ask your question. Liz will pretty much always answer your question with valuable answer, and then you'll get some other people who will pop in as well and support each other. And Liz is always scouring the internet and posting remote jobs and remote opportunities. But yeah, Liz has helped me so much. We've had an ongoing conversation for probably the past year, and when have doubts with my blog or need some advice with direction, she's always happy to help and put me in the right direction.
Yeah, Liz is amazing. Liz is our community manager. She's been here since 2011. She was a part of it for about a year, and then emailed me to say, "Hey, like through the community, because of what you did, I'm leaving my job." And I said, "Hey, well, as you're doing all of your freelance stuff as well, why don't you come help me out?" And now she's been here basically since the beginning, so over 6, 7 years, which has been pretty
No,
cool.
she's clutch. She's
Yeah.
clutch.
So with all that said, there's people that are sitting here watching this. They're like on the fence. They might be sitting in their day job right now, thinking it's like, is this lifestyle right for me? Is this course right for me? For the person who's thinking about joining during the promotion right now, what advice would you give them?
If you're serious about getting started and you want this life and it sounds like a life that you would like, then I think it's a no-brainer because, like I said before, with a flashlight, you will waste so much time going down different rabbit holes trying to figure out what the best option is for you. And you have to think about, I remember Location Rebel was the first like big investment. Big, I mean, as a relative term compared to other courses I've seen, but towards like becoming an entrepreneur or learning things is my first like major course that I bought.
Yeah.
And I was nervous about it and I didn't know. And now I realize that if I put a value, how much I value every hour of my time, the number of hours that had saved me far, far, far exceeds the investment that like I've probably saved hundreds or more, thousands maybe of hours of going down, chasing the wrong things, not knowing what to do, not knowing what options are out there. So it's definitely for someone who is a beginner and who's just stepping in and wants to see all the different paths that are available. I definitely recommend it.
Totally. Well, that's awesome to hear. I mean, that's kind of the goal that we've put together with the course is we want to make it as easy as possible for you to get going, regardless of your online experience, your technical experience, because pretty much regardless of where you're at, there's a path for you. It's just a matter of figuring out what that is and then giving you kind of the roadmap for doing that, which is something that I think Location Rebel's done pretty well. So with all that said, where like if people want to go, you've got a really cool blog actually that I'm excited about with Project Untethered. And you're doing freelance writing. If people want to go learn more from you, find you, hire you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The blog that just launched, that is projectuntethered.com, and that's a travel blog. It's kind of similar to Location Rebel, but maybe a little bit more focused on the travel aspect with a side of the business.
Totally.
And also, I'm putting together a new freelance website. I had another one that I didn't like. And that one's not up yet, but when it does get up, it is Mitch Glass copywriting.com.
Awesome, man. Well, Mitch, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, telling people a little bit about your experience. I hope someday I can come down and visit you in Colombia because, as I mentioned, I've been wanting to go down there forever. If you're sitting there watching this, if you've got questions about Location Rebel, if you've got questions about getting started, you can email me, Sean@locationrebel.com. If you have questions for Mitch, I bet you he would be happy to answer them. Email me and I can put you in touch with him, or you can go check out projectuntethered.com and get a hold of him that way. So I'm going to go out back into rainy Portland and try and stay dry as I finish my Christmas shopping. But I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate talking to you. And thanks again for taking some time today.
Yep, no problem. It was a pleasure.
Awesome, man.